Islamic scholars have been attacking Yasir Qadhi from every direction for almost 5 years. Their rage proves that he exposed the truth they've been hiding from Muslims for decades. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Tell me Dr. K, a channel religious leaders wish you never find. If you are ready to see what they are hiding, subscribe and smash the notice bell so that you don't miss what is coming next. The deeper we dig, the more shocking it gets. Yasir Qadhi made an admission about the Quran's preservation and Hadith reliability that Islamic scholars never wanted public. But instead of debating with evidence, they launched coordinated attacks, character assassination, public denunciation, desperate attempts to discredit him.
This Yasir Qadhi should be shut down. His channel should be shut down. He should never be allowed to open his mouth about Islam. Wallahi.
If you want misguidance, listen to Yasir Qadhi.
Yasir Qadhi, I accuse you. You are worse than the layman people. You failed.
Yasir Qadhi, when you see him on a video, click X.
Quote unquote renowned scholar. He's a da'i. He does not qualify to be a scholar.
I would advise Dr. Yasir Qadhi to stop indulging in this, because this is not his field. He's not an authority to say.
The brutal fact of the matter is those tactics did not convert hundreds and thousands of people. That's just the fact.
And further, our brother says that I was impacted by Sheikh Didat. Zakir Naik I consider to be my friend, and I am his friend. To say this, that these tactics do not convert hundreds and thousands of people, is totally wrong.
I am Dr. K, and in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly what Yasir Qadhi revealed and why the attacks proves he is right, and what it means to every Muslim told to follow these scholars blindly. Why the hysteria? Because he said it out loud, what the scholars have always known, but kept from everyday Muslims. Now their fury isn't about protecting Islam. It's about protecting something else. And by the end of this video, you will know clearly what it is that they are protecting. And here is the clip between Yasir Qadhi and Muhammad Ajib.
Point. I just wanted to go to another thing, which is probably the most, when I put on the community page, the most asked thing, which is there was a video that was released by one of our brothers some time ago, Brother Imran, and he released this big video about the leaks of some kind of email chat that you were involved in about preservation of Quran. Okay, and since you were very candid on the points before with the madakhila and things, we want you to be very candid in terms of your position here. I mean, what is your position in relation to preservation of Quran? Is, for example, Hafs an Asim, riwayat Hafs an Asim, do you see it as preserved, munazzal from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or do you not see that as munazzal? What's your position?
Jayyid. Okay, so first and foremost, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna nahnu nazzal dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. So we believe, as a matter of theology, as a matter of aqeedah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved the Quran, no question about it. As for the issue itself, every single student of knowledge knows, who studies ulum al-Quran, that the most difficult topics are ahruf al-qira'at, and the concept of ahruf and the reality of ahruf, and the relationship of the Uthmanic Mus'haf with the ahruf, and the preservation of the ahruf. Is it 1, is it 3, is it 7? And the relationship of the qira'at to the ahruf. This is a topic that when you're the beginning student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out, and you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult. And this isn't new. This is from the time of the Sahaba. In the Sahih or the Hasan Hadith of Ubay bin Ka'b, the Hadith of the Ahruf, that when the Prophet mentioned the issue of Ahruf, and that there are different Ahruf and whatnot, this is in the version of Muslim Imam Ahmad, Ubay bin Ka'b says, authentic Hadith, فَدَخَلَ فِي نَفْسِ شَكٍّ. in my heart a doubt came that I hadn't had about Islam since the days of Jahiliyyah. This is not a joke, brothers and sisters. The issue of ahruf and qira'at caused confusion to somebody whom the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to listen to the Quran directly, listen to Ubay. Ubay is not some even average Sahabi. He is the Qari of the Quran. He is the master. He is who he is. And he goes, فَدَخَلْ فِي نَفْسِي شَكْ. Like, what is all of this stuff? And the Prophet put his hand, and then he goes, it all went away. Ya akhi, me and you, we don't have that blessing, do we? Me and you don't have that blessing. Now, again, this is you were asking some very honest question. This is the first time I'm saying these things. Many people are aware who listen to my lectures that I've mentioned the crises that happened to me at Yale, my first year at Yale. It wasn't a crisis of faith, by the way, so I was very clear about this. People misinterpret it. It was a crisis of my understanding of knowledge. It was a crisis of what my teachers taught me. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, as somebody who memorized the Quran as a teenager, alhamdulillah, in my entire life, I have never doubted that the Quran is divine. You cannot doubt that. And you listen to it, you recite it, you just cannot doubt that. It's never been an issue. Now, for the first time, I'm telling you here, what was the crisis? I mentioned it, referenced it, but I never explicitly said it. Why didn't I say it? Because it should not be said in public. But unfortunately, these brothers, because they released the emails, so then I have to then get it. This was the issue. That the issue of ahruf and preservation and qira'at and relationships between them, these are very, very difficult issues. And the most advanced of our scholars, they're not quite fully certain how to solve all of the unanswered questions in there. Ibn al-Jazari, who without a doubt is the greatest scholar of qira'at for the last 1,000 years. Ibn al-Jazari famously writes, I have been thinking and pondering, I've been thinking and pondering about the issue of the ahruf and qira'at for over 35 years. Nayfan wa 30 sana, he said, right? And confused and whatnot, then finally, this is my response. And by the way, even that 7, all later scholars say, well, that doesn't make any sense. So they kind of dismissed even that. After 35 years, the greatest scholar of qira'at.
Some accepted it. Some accepted it.
It doesn't answer the question. Anyway, I don't want to get into that issue.
Okay, fine.
Why do I not want to get to that issue? Here's the point. These issues should only be discussed amongst people who know what the qira'at are and who understand some of these questions that are being raised.
So let me ask you one question to try and make this as specific as possible, I think. If I were to give you a blank mushaf, and tell you to write what is munazzal verbatim from Allah into that mushaf with no human interference, would you write something which corresponds?
It's not an easy answer. It's not an easy yes or no. It is enough for the Muslim to believe that the
I think
Quran
this should be an easy yes or no, though. Yasir Qadhi. I have to.
Okay, very, very well. So, Ya Muhammad, after we get off this phone call, me and you, let's have a number of discussions. No problem. I'm very open with advanced students. But these issues should not... Look, it is Kalamullah, what is going to be written. It is Kalamullah. It is
what would you write?
You're pushing me. And I'm saying it's not hikmah to... Listen, I have a condition. Like I said, everything I say is going to be factual. If I wanted to do tawdiyah and whatnot, I would do it right now in front of you. There is no need for tawdiyah. The Quran is the uncreated speech of Allah. The Quran is preserved. The Quran is known. The Quran is mutawatir. And alhamdulillah, all of the qira'at are the Quran. All of the qira'at are authentic. Alhamdulillah. Leave it at that, ya akhi. Beyond this, honestly, I have no problem. We'll have discussions or take my class. But beyond this requires background information. It is enough for the Muslim to know that the Quran is the speech of Allah that has been protected, and what we recite is the kalam of Allah. That is enough for the Muslim to know.
Quran preservation as horse. Yasir Qadhi admitted in academic settings that the Quran's preservation narrative, the cornerstone claim that it's been perfect transmitted letter for letter, word for word, since Muhammad has serious problems. He revealed the standard Hafs recensions Muslims use today was only standardized in the 20th century, 24th Cairo edition.
The crisis that you had was in relation to this question of the relationship between the ahruf and the qira'at, basically.
No. The crisis I had wasn't that. The crisis I had was, that was what generated. But what was the crisis? The crisis was very simple. And by the way, this is now a well-known open secret amongst many Muslim graduate students and academics around the world. And this is well-known. traditional understandings of ahruf and qira'at cannot answer some of these pressing questions that are now being poked by our people outside of, by our academics, not our, by their academics outside of the faith tradition. You see, and
but I think here we
wait, let me finish this, Muhammad, because this is a very important point. I'll let you let me finish this. And by the way, if you are following online media and articles and whatnot, this is no longer hidden news. More and more professors and academics are writing stuff, and it's being publicized on Twitter in the last 2-3 years. I have had at least, I'd say, a dozen people tweet at me like specific articles, like how do you answer this, and about ulum al-Quran, about qira'at, about makhtutat, about issues. These are now well known within the Western Academy, that they're bringing forth issues. Their level of now knowledge is leaps and bounds above what it used to be 100 years ago. And by and large, our ulama in the Eastern world are not aware, by and large, of what's going on in the Western side of things. And they're not answering those questions in a manner that it needs to be answered. And this is something all of us that are in academia fully acknowledge.
There are variant readings and textual differences Islamic scholars have known about but downplayed. The perfect preservation claim doesn't hold up under rigorous historical critical analysis. He used the phrase holes in the narrative when discussing the Quranic textual transmission. Why this matters? For 1,400 years, Islamic apologetics centered on the Quran is perfectly preserved. Unlike the Bible, Yasir admitted that is not historically accurate. There is a challenge here. Why do Muslim scholars, bent on attacking the Bible, discrediting it, right, left, and center? It's because of what is called the Islamic dilemma. First, the Quran confirms the Bible, the Torah and the Gospel, the Injil, that it was God's revelation. But the same Quran contradicts the Bible by saying Jesus never died on the cross. If they accept that the Bible is God's revelation, then they are contradicting the Quran. If they say the Bible is not God's revelation, they are contradicting the Quran. So they are damned if they do, they are damned if they don't. And here is what they've decided to do, is to say the Bible is corrupt. It is not the same revelation that Allah revealed in the Quran. What's the problem with that? The Bible we have today is the same Bible that existed during the time of Muhammad. What's the second thing that Yasir disclosed? The Hadith sciences are completely discredited. God stated that the Western academia has completely discredited traditional Hadith authentication methods. He admitted the Isnad, which means chain of transmission system Islamic scholars rely on, doesn't meet academic standards for historical verification. Traditional Hadith sciences are based on faith assumptions, not on historical evidence. Here is Yasir again.
In a Muslim environment, there's always some respect that we have for the Quran. We should. In a Muslim environment, we'll press a little bit and then we'll say, okay, khalas, sami'na wa ata'na. And that's great, alhamdulillah. When you go to academia, they don't have that red line. And they're going to just, the famous story of the emperor with no clothes. They're going to just point out, no, that doesn't make any sense. Well, that's not true, and this and that. And they'll bring issues, which I'm not going to mention explicitly, that are true because they're in your own books. They're not inventing anything new. They'll bring you riwayat and they'll bring you athar, and then you add to that very well-known issues of, I don't even want to be explicit. And then you bring on top of that makhtutat, and then. And it's very clear to you and to every single very advanced student and specialist that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say. The standard narrative does not answer some very pressing questions. Okay? This is what I'm going to say.
Why this matters? Without reliable hadith, you lose Sharia law foundation, prayer methods, Islamic jurisprudence, essentially the entire structure of practical Islam collapses. You have watched the clips. Let's answer an important question. The one I mentioned that I was going to disclose. Why are Islamic scholars attacking Yasir Qadhi? Let me explain the theory. Islamic scholars like As al-Hakim, Adnan Rashid, and Zakir Naik launched coordinated attacks against Yasir Qadhi's admissions because Yasir Qadhi's admission destroyed two fundamental pillars. Pillar number one, divine preservation doctrine. If the Quran wasn't preserved perfectly, it undermines the divine protection. Remember, they've claimed that Allah perfectly preserved the Quran. These men have built a career around this. These men, particularly Zakir Naik, has even converted some Christians to Islam, and Muslims who had left Islam have gone back to Islam. Second pillar, Hadith authority. If Hadith can't be verified, Islamic law has no legitimate foundation. Let's look at the evidence of their panic. Yasir Qadhi exposed Sheikh, and he had more than 742,000 views. Islamic Clarity posted, Zakir Naik says Yasir Qadhi's views totally wrong. Almost 900,000 views. Adnan Rashid posted, stay away from Dr. Yasir Qadhi. 382,000 views plus. The attack strategy. Accusing him of undermining Islam, claiming he's pandering the Western academia, warning Muslims to avoid his teachings. Some even accused him of shirk, which is associating partners with Allah, the unforgivable sin. So what is the real reason why they are terrified? It's not about theology. It's about authority and control. These scholars have built their entire careers on this, teaching Muslims that the Quran is perfectly preserved. This is the apologetic industry. Authenticating Hadith for Islamic law, the jurisprudence authority. Defending Islam against Christian/atheist criticisms. Debate secured income. Qadhi's admission exposed that they've known these problems existed, but deliberately kept everyday Muslim in dark. Their attack aren't defending Islam. They are defending their credibility, their income streams, and their power over Muslim communities. The smoking gun. Instead of providing counter evidence or scholarly rebuttals, they resorted to character assassination and emotional appeals. That's the behavior of people who know they cannot win on facts. Yasir Qadhi just proved what Dr. J. Smith and his colleagues have been saying for decades. They've been discredited. They've been beaten. They've been insulted. They've been called all sorts of names. And Yasir Qadhi just proved to everyday Muslim that Dr. J. Smith and his colleagues have been right all along.
He really seemed to think that Yasir Qadhi is going to fix all of this. Yeah. I'm talking to Yasir Qadhi. This is the man. He's the expert of the experts. He will explain how somehow there's just one Quran. He's gonna make it clear.
So what did he do first?
He
put out his hand. Remember, he put out his hand. He said, "Listen, this is a blank sheet of paper. Tell me,
blank mushaf.
Which one? Which is the one that you're going to put on there? Which is the one that's the eternal Quran? Yeah. Which is the one that was revealed to Muhammad? Which was the one that Uthman wrote in 652? Tell me, which is it? The Hafs? Is it the Warsh? Is it the Kisai?" Before he could answer, before he could stop his sentence, what did Yasir Qadhi say?
He said, "It's not an easy question."
That's right.
Which it should be. If there's one Quran perfectly preserved, that should be the easiest question in the history of humanity. And it wasn't. But yeah, you saw in that interview, Yasir Qadhi basically begging Muhammad Hijab
Turn
to stop.
off the camera. Remember
stop
that?
it. Yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards. Please stop. This is not wise, Yaqi. It's not wise. They're going to be hearing this out there. They're going to be hearing all of this. And this is when, just by Muhammad Hijab continuing to press him, because Hijab clearly thought, no, I need to keep pushing. I need to keep pushing. Then he'll explain how all this fits together and there's only been one Quran. And just didn't work. And Yasir Qadhi ends up admitting.
Before that, what did he say first? He said, remember, Al-Jazari, who is the world authority on the Qira'at, he wrote 80 books in the 1500s, and he never came to any conclusion. For the last 1,000 years, he said, Muslim scholars don't know what to do with this question. If they don't know what to do with this question, what do you think I'm going to have to do with this question? And then he said one interesting thing. When he says, well, this should be an easy question. Is this what happened to you when you were at Yale University? Did you have a crisis of faith? He said, no, not a crisis of faith, crisis of knowledge.
If this video has opened your mind, like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell so that when I upload another deep dive, you'll receive the notification. And the more you like, subscribe, and comment, the more YouTube makes this message to be seen by more people. To watch the video about why millions of Muslims are leaving Islam, click on this link. To watch other videos on Christianity and Islam debates, click on this link.